Welcome to the Safe Money Retirement Show with certified financial fiduciary Tim Wood.
This is all about helping people. That is why I am so passionate about this, because it's literally getting up every day and helping people plan for the rest of their lives. Make a plan, because I promise you're going to sleep better.
Tim is a retirement and income planning expert, best-selling author, and the founder of SafeMoneyRetirement.com. Tim focuses on wealth management, retirement income, tax and long-term care planning, and so much more.
Let's sit down. Let's make sure we have got a holistic plan. We're not just looking at one thing.
And now, the Safe Money Retirement Show with Tim Wood.
Welcome into the Safe Money Retirement Show. Alongside Tim Wood, he's the president and founder of Safe Money Retirement. My name is Kevin McAlpin, and of course, Tim and I hope you're having a wonderful day, and we appreciate you being part of the program here as we talk all things retirement, help you put that plan in place for your financial future. And we've got a lot of topics to cover on the program here today. Obviously, we know the decision on when to retire is a big one, so Tim's going to give you some advice on how he helps his clients really visualize what life is like when you take that next step. Plus, 3 out of 4 people say they haven't ever worked with a financial advisor. So why not? We'll get Tim's thoughts on that and much, much more. But before we go any further, we say hello to the star of the show and, of course, my buddy Tim Wood. Tim, it's always great to be here with you. How are you today?
I am doing fantastic. Hope everyone's had a great week and looking forward to a great show.
No doubt about it. We've got a lot of great information to get to. And obviously, if you are looking to learn more about any of the topics Tim and I cover, of course, you can always reach him through the website SafeMoneyRetirement.com, SafeMoneyRetirement.com. Well, Tim, I want to dive right into it because this piece of sound, it has me laughing every time I listen to it. And I probably listened to it about 30 or 40 times now. A lot of our listeners can probably relate to comedian Kathleen Madigan. She keeps pretty close tabs on her retired parents. And recently, she joined her mom's weekly golf gathering with other retirees, and this is how it went.
I meet all of her friends. I get in the golf cart at 7:40 a.m. I go, Mom, your friends are a lot of fun, but what exactly is wrong with that lady, Mary Beth? She goes, oh, well, she's hammered. I said, dear Mom, it is 7:40 in the morning. She goes, well, we don't have a relationship with time anymore, Kathleen. We don't really live within time. We're like out of time. We're in a different dimension than you people that are in real time. She goes, I mean, some days we wake up at 3, some days 6. I mean, today I've already had lasagna.
All right. So, Tim, we know retirement means different things to different people. Maybe for some listeners, it's lasagna for breakfast. Why not? But let's talk about your clients. When they come to you, you're putting that plan together, and they've got a lot of questions about what's that free time going to look like? What is life going to look like? Now that I'm venturing into a whole nother dimension here, you're used to that working world. You're used to your working relationships. Things change on a dime when you hit retirement.
They do. And again, that's one of the things that we go through in depth in the Fact Finder. We get some people that call in and just want to know, what's the best rate today? Or what can I do for this? Just give me the numbers. It's not about the numbers. I mean, it is, but that's not what it's really about. It's about making a plan and making sure that that plan is right for you. And that's really what it comes down to, is each person is going to be completely different based on what they need. And that's going to be determined by sitting down and saying, okay, so your retirement, let's just say, is in 5 years. Okay, and your name's Bill. Okay, Bill, your retirement's in 5 years. I want you to put your mind 6 years from now. You've been retired for a year. What's your life look like? What are you doing? What's your normal Monday morning? What's Wednesday night? Let's figure out, because that is going to determine how much income do you need. Well, if you're playing golf every day, let me tell you, brother, it's not a cheap sport.
Right.
You're probably going to need more than you were making when you were working if you're planning on hitting that little white ball around multiple times a week. And what about going on the boat? And hey, mama's going to want to go on trips and go to the beach all the time. And then there's that Ireland trip we've always wanted to take. Let's talk about it. Let's figure out in those first years, how much income do you need? And let's make sure you've got enough. So yeah, that's part of what we do, is to sit down and really help them visualize what it's really going to be like, because that's what's going to determine how much they need.
Yeah, no doubt. And obviously, you might pick up new hobbies. There might be new things you want to try that you haven't been able to try when you're working 40 hours a week. Anybody stand out to you that you've, sort of helped, visualize what that future looks like, and maybe something new that they discovered they enjoyed later down the road? They came back to you and said, you know what? I never thought about getting involved in that until you and I talked.
Absolutely. I've got multiple stories. Obviously, I don't want to say a person's name, but I've had multiple people come in and not know what they're going to do in retirement. And during that fact finder process, we find that they've got a real passion. For example, this one lady had a real passion for people that didn't have enough to eat. And she had a personal story when she was younger. She basically, they lived on food stamps and that kind of thing. And she, had a real history of it. So that was passionate for her. So I said, well, why don't you find a local charity that you can work with that you can do that? Mm-hmm. And she started doing it, and she came back in and told, literally with happy tears streaming down her face, she said, it is absolutely the most fulfilling, awesome, when you can walk in and help someone and know that she said it's been life-changing. Wow. So yeah, I've got several stories like that. But again, let's think about what you said. Let's think about, what is it that you want to do? What's your passion? Is it for a church? Okay, great. Well, what can you do for that church when you're gone? Right. Is it for golf? Is it for whatever? Let's make a plan and figure out what can we do, because what someone doesn't want to do in retirement is become unplugged.
Right.
That's one thing they absolutely do not want to do. I don't care what you do. I don't care if your daily routine is walking around the Walmart every day for 3 hours. Fine. Go walk, do it. That's great. Don't just sit there and vegetate, because guess what? That's going to make your demise come a whole lot faster.
Yeah, I've heard that the term sitting is the new smoking, right? Where you want to keep active. And when you do hit that retirement stage of life, you and I talked about it on a previous show. You've got those 3 stages, right? You've got the go-go years early on where you want to be your most active. You want to check items off that bucket list. You've got the slow-go years where, things start slowing down. And then obviously later in life, you've got the no-go years. So finding a purpose, finding, reasons to get up and get going. So, let me ask you this. Have you ever heard of a client who maybe was hesitant to retire because they weren't sure exactly what they were going to fill all that free time with?
Yeah, that actually happens more often than you would think, as people don't really know what they're going to do in retirement. So why not just keep working? And for some people, that's great. Okay, that's fantastic. Doesn't really matter what you're doing. For some people, it's just, okay, every day we're going to get together and do this, or I'm going to do this, or what, something. It really doesn't matter what you're doing in retirement. I mean, the good thing about still working is you've still got income coming in, right? I mean, that's always great at any point in life. But having something that you're going to be doing, that's what's vitally important. It's not what it is, it's that you're doing something every single day.
If you like more details, you maybe like a little more clarity on how you're going to fill all that free time when you get into retirement. Maybe you'd like Tim's recipe for lasagna for breakfast. Who knows? If you'd like to learn more, you'd like to schedule that fact finder meeting with Tim Wood and the team at Safe Money Retirement. Keep this number handy, folks. 800-913-SAFE. Again, that number, 800-913-7233. Or you can always reach Tim and the team online. It's safemoneyretirement.com. Again, safemoneyretirement.com. All right, so we know football's right around the corner, and I saw this recent survey. Why did it stand out to me? Well, it was by the CFP board. No, not the College Football Playoff Board. That's a different CFP. But it found that only 25% of folks plan to work with a financial planner. Of the 75% that say they don't, here's where they say they get their financial advice from. 32% say they get it from their employer or 401k administrator. 29% use financial websites, apps, banks, and credit unions, while 8% use online influencers. So, Tim, let me tell you this, or let me ask you this, I guess. If folks used those resources for their retirement planning, what are some of the things they're missing out on not utilizing a human like yourself?
Wow, there's so many things. What I tell people, because I do have people occasionally say, well, why in the heck do I need to work with you? It ties back into, 75% of people don't work with someone. The reason, I think one of the biggest reasons is people believe that working with a professional is going to cost them a whole lot of money. Mm-hmm. That's number one. I think people think that, oh, well, I'd love to work with someone that's an expert, that's, independent, can show me everything, but good grief, I've only got $300,000. I can't give up half of it to that, They need to understand that there are plans out there that have no fees. And there are advisors out there like our firm. We never charge our clients any fees, period. We get paid by the company that you wind up going with. And it doesn't take a penny of your money. So if you were starting a plan with us, with XYZ company, and you put $100,000 in it, guess what? It starts with $100,000. That company pays us. It doesn't take a bit of your money. Mm-hmm. So I think that's part of it. The second thing that I say is there are a lot of people out there that think they can do it all themselves. Just like, if I had an abscess in my tooth right here, right now, I guarantee you I could probably go on YouTube and find, here's how you do dental surgery on yourself. And I could go out to my tool and go to my Craftsman tool chest and get the chisel and get whatever I would need and maybe some nitrous oxide from some whipping cream. And, could I technically probably do it myself? Maybe. That's kind of what happens in retirement is these people think, oh, well, I saw this online. This rate right here that I saw on Facebook. Come on, man. Yeah. Let's get real. You need to get with someone that is completely independent and that is licensed with everybody. We're licensed basically with every A-rated company in the independent marketplace in every state that we're in, and we're in over half the states of the country. So basically what we do, we sit down and we take a holistic look. We make sure that you are in the right plan and that we're showing you the right plan. And there's just no way for an individual to be able to do that because you don't have access to the things that I have access to.
Right.
You don't have access to the knowledge, to the plans, to the companies, to all of this. You're kind of, batting in the dark. You need to have a spotlight on it. You need to know what's going on. You need to know when the pitch is thrown, exactly when you need to swing and how you need to swing and where you're aiming.
Mm-hmm. And obviously 8% coming from online influencers. And Tim, let's be honest, credentials wise, right? We don't know where they get their information from. There's a lot of mixed messages. There's a lot of noise out there. And obviously having someone like yourself to really help sift through all these varying opinions. You get them on social media, you get them on TV, you get them all over the place. That's probably a big part of what you do as well for folks who may be hesitant to work with a financial planner.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're absolutely right, brother. There are so many people out there that kind of like the end of a joke that I'm thinking of is not everybody can have a website. Well, Yeah. So, first of all, number one is who you're going to work with, a certified financial fiduciary. Anybody can call themselves a fiduciary. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's great. Less than 5% of all of the advisors in the United States are certified financial fiduciaries. We are. Now, what does that mean? It means a bunch of things, but it really means we're obligated to do everything in our client's best interest. Now, the scary thing is the 95% that aren't certified financial fiduciaries, we sure have to hope that they do, but they're not. They don't have to. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you want to make sure that who you're getting your information from, it's not just somebody that decided to grab an iPhone and turn the thing around and record themselves saying, hey, here's what you should do.
Right.
No. We're talking about one of the biggest decisions you're ever going to make in your life. If you've saved up $500,000 for retirement, guess what? You get one swing. You can't miss. Mm-hmm. So we need to make sure that you're seeing all of your options, that you're making a wise decision, that it's with a top-rated company that is going to be there when you need them, and that the plan is solid that we put in place for you to have that guaranteed income or the growth or whatever the plan is, that it's rock solid that you can count on.
Well, if you're maybe part of that 75% that say they don't work with a financial planner, maybe you'd like to schedule that complimentary Fact Finder sit down with Tim Wood and his team at Safe Money Retirement. He's offering it up today, complimentary with absolutely no obligation. Or maybe, folks, you'd just like to learn more about growth without the fear of market downturns. Boy, we've seen a lot of market ups and downs here in 2025. And if that leaves you feeling uneasy as you plan for your retirement, keep this number handy. 800-913-SAFE. Again, that's 800-913-7233 or online anytime. It's safemoneyretirement.com. Again, it's safemoneyretirement.com. All right, coming up next, whether you're 1, 5, or maybe even 10 years away from retirement, we'll give you some boxes to check as you inch closer to walking away from that 9 to 5, plus how to balance between saving and spending when it comes to your later years. We'll get Tim's thoughts on that and more as we continue with the Safe Money Retirement Show, all powered by Safe Money Retirement, right after this.
Welcome to Willie's Wings, home of the secret sauce.
I'll take a dozen wings. Oh, by the way, I love that sauce. What's in it?
Can't tell you.
Why not?
It's a secret.
While many financial advisors claim to have that secret sauce, they really don't. In fact, their sauce is so good, why are they keeping it a secret? Tim Wood of Safe Money Retirement doesn't keep anything a secret. He knows there's much more to retirement planning than stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. Tim will develop a strategy designed specifically for you. It's your own secret sauce for retirement. Call 800-913-SAFE. That's 800-913-7233 or online at safemoneyretirement.com.
Fine, you want to know what's in the sauce?
Absolutely.
Tablespoon of paprika.
Really?
Thanks for joining us on the Safe Money Retirement Show with Tim Wood, the president and founder of Safe Money Retirement. My name's Kevin McAlpin. Of course, we hope you're having a great day. And obviously, if you're listening today, you fall into two categories. One, you either have a financial advisor, or two, you don't. And earlier we were talking about that 75% of folks who don't work with a financial planner. Well, if that sounds like you, if you'd like to learn more, you'd like to schedule that complimentary Fact Finder meeting with Tim and the team at Safe Money Retirement, visit them online anytime. It's safemoneyretirement.com. Again, safemoneyretirement.com. All right, so Tim, you and I have talked about it on this show before. You know, folks who might be 5 or 10 years out of retirement, they might think, well, it's too early to really start getting my items in order, my ducks in a row, if you will. But Tim, that's not really the case. If you're 5 or 10 years away from retirement, there's still a lot of things our listeners can be doing when they sit down with someone like yourself that really can help put that foundation in place for their retirement, isn't there?
Absolutely. That's actually about the perfect time. The sooner the better, I would say. The sooner someone can sit down and we make a plan. Now, that plan may be keep doing what you're doing and come back and see me in 3.5, 6.5, whatever years. Mm-hmm. That's fine. But you know that we've got a plan for whenever it is that you do retire. And then if you don't have a plan, a lot of people have a real challenge of knowing when to retire because they don't have a plan. Mm-hmm. I mean, you don't know. And I talk about this in my book. If anyone doesn't have a copy of my book, get a copy of Safe Money Retirement. That way I talk about people underliving their retirement or overliving their retirement. You don't want to do either, right? You don't want to underlive and wind up, scrimping along because you don't want to run out. And now you didn't do anything in retirement that you wanted to do. And when you pass, there's this whole bunch of money, which, okay, your kids and grandkids are going to really appreciate. And vice versa, you don't want to overlive your retirement. And by 85, you're out of money and you're one of the lucky ones that lives to 97. Well, what are you going to do those last 12 years? You're either going to live off the state or you're going to live off your kids. Mm-hmm. So making sure that you've got a plan, and the sooner that we can start planning for that, the better.
Let me ask you this too. Have you ever experienced a client that maybe, I don't want to say takes a test drive of a retirement, but maybe sort of eases into it as opposed to just saying, you know what, this is where I'm done. I'm walking away. I'm never going back. But just really kind of easing into it, maybe stress testing it a little bit, making sure the plan they have in place will be sufficient for their needs in retirement.
Absolutely. It's what I call a part-time retirement. And it's one of the things that we go over in the Fact Finder is that something that might be interesting to you? A lot of people do that. And it's brilliant. If you can do a part-time retirement, number one, it's keeping you active. And socially engaged. I mean, there's all kinds of, mental and physical and spiritual reasons to do it. But yeah, there's also financial reasons. Right. Because if you can continue to defer social, I mean, you're getting a 6 to 8% bump in your social for the rest of your life for every year that you defer it. And guess what? If you're the number one breadwinner and you pass, your spouse gets yours. So the longer that whoever is the number one breadwinner can defer their social, the better for the couple, because then whoever passes first, the other person is getting that bigger amount in social. So yeah, the part-time retirement can be a brilliant move for a lot of people for a lot of reasons. And I have a lot of clients that do it. And the cool thing about it is a part-time gig. So if you do it for 6 months after you've retired and you're like, you know what, I really just don't want to do this anymore, then don't.
Right. No doubt. Well, and it's interesting too, because I have in-laws who just moved to Florida about a year and a half ago. And I was talking to my father-in-law recently. He goes, man, it's really hot down here. So when it comes to maybe deciding where you want to be in retirement, where you want to live, some people might say, I want to live to Florida. I don't want seasons anymore. I want to be hot. And now he goes, well, it's too hot for me to leave the house. So again, I think that could be a part of this as well, is going, okay, here's where we're thinking about moving. Let's go there for 3 or 4 weeks and just see if it's where we really want to be in retirement.
Sure. And where you are in retirement also is one of the things that I will touch on, but that's really something for a person to think about. But yeah, it's not even that. An even bigger consideration, Kevin, is the state taxes. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of people that move to my state, Tennessee, because there is no state income tax. Same with Florida. They may be in a state where the income tax is super high right now, and you're giving yourself a huge raise just by moving to a state with no state income tax. Mm-hmm. So yes, that is something to think about in retirement as well, and do you have family and friends there? I mean, yes, do you want to move somewhere with no state income tax? Yes, that sounds fantastic. And does the climate make a difference? Yes. But do you want to, at 67 years old, you and your spouse move somewhere that you know nobody? Mm-hmm. So that's another consideration. So there's a lot of angles that we have to look at to make sure that what you're doing is going to make the most sense. But yeah, where they're going is certainly a consideration.
If you're tuned in today, maybe you're 5 or 10 years away from retirement and you feel like it's too early to start putting that plan in place. You just heard Tim mention, even 10 years out of retirement, there's still a lot of boxes you can check when it comes to putting that plan together. If you'd like to learn more, you'd like to schedule that complimentary Fact Finder meeting, pick up the phone, get on Tim's calendar today. That number again, 800-913-SAFE. Again, that number is 800-913-7233. Or don't forget the website, folks. You can always reach Tim and his team today at safemoneyretirement.com. Again, that's safemoneyretirement.com. Tim, I want to end the show here today by giving you a really interesting story about a woman named Agnes. I was reading her story on gobankingrates.com, and obviously, like a lot of folks, she saved and saved and saved over the years, and now has really more money than she knows what to do with. She's now 79 years old, but she says she has some regrets, Tim. She realizes she missed out on some opportunities to make memories with her friends and loved ones in her younger years. So let me ask you, when it comes to putting a plan in place for your clients, how can you really help them sort of walk that fine line between saving enough, but also being able to live in the moment and enjoy, like we talked about earlier, those go-go years?
Absolutely. And that, almost like we talked about earlier, that comes down to you don't want to underlive your retirement and you don't want to overlive your retirement, right? I mean, that's kind of the same thing. And I can give you a personal story here. My mother actually herself has said to me, I wish that your dad and I had done more things when we had the time, because now they're in their mid 80s and he's battling dementia and they can't do things. And she all the time says, I sure wish we could still do this and wish we could still do that. So yes, making sure that you've got a plan and what's the best way to plan? What's the best way to know in my late 60s and 70s, we can do what we want, when we want, how we want, with who we want. How can you do that? Having a guaranteed income. Because if you've got $4,000 a month coming in, this month, if I spend it, well, guess what? It's coming next month. Mm-hmm. And if I spend next month, guess what? It's coming the month after. If you know it's guaranteed that no matter what, you're getting this money every single month, it makes it a whole lot easier to go and do things now. And I preach that all the time, Kevin. I tell people they need to go do things when they can. Listen, everyone, this is really important. You need to spend your retirement dollars on your retirement. Do not leave your retirement dollars to your kids. Okay. If you want to leave your kids money, that's great. That I completely understand. I want to leave mine, but I'm not going to leave it in a retirement plan, because now they're going to have to pay taxes on all of that within 10 years of whenever you pass. That's the new law. After Secure 2.0, they've only got 10 years. So that's number one. And number two, right now, if I wanted, like, let's just say I decided I wanted to leave my daughter $500,000. Whenever my wife and I are both gone, the last of us to go, she gets a check for $500,000. Now, could I leave $500,000 in an account and just have her named as beneficiary? Sure, I could. Or for pennies on the dollar, I could buy $500,000 worth of life insurance right now that's going to pay her tax-free $500,000 the moment the last one of us dies. And we can do that for pennies on the dollar. So this is just making a smart plan. But yeah, absolutely. People need to spend their retirements on their retirement and make sure that they get to do all those things. Join the country club you've always wanted to join. Take that river cruise down the Danube that you and your wife have talked about for 20 years. Do the things, because you only get one shot in this life. So do the things and make sure that you've got a plan, because like I said, if you know you've got the income coming in, then you know that you can plan things, and you know that there's still going to be income next month and next year and in 10 years and all of that. So it helps you to be able to plan smartly.
I found one quote from that article that really kind of stood out and really kind of hit home. She said, "I should have spent less on stuff and more on making memories." And again, you only go around once. At least I think we only go around once in this life. Right. But the ability to make memories with your loved ones, not only for you, but also for that next generation that can remember, hey, these are the things we got to do while she was still with us. I'm sure you've heard that story a time or two over the years. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And that's something that personal story that my wife and I try to live by. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you looked at our home, it's a very modest home. I'm not driving a Lamborghini, and neither is she. We live a relatively modest lifestyle, but we take little trips all the time. We're going to do things. We're going on trips. We do experiences, because that's exactly it. When we're both 90 and we're sitting on the rocking chair on the porch sipping sweet tea, we're not going to think about, well, you remember that car we had back in 2025? No, but we might say, remember that cruise we went on? And we did this and we did that. Oh, and then we went on that trip. You remember? Oh, yeah, that was awesome. That's what you're going to remember. Yeah. Absolutely. And that's what you do in the go-go years. I mean, of course you do it, before you retire, but that's really what the go-go years are all about. All those things that you've dreamed about. I've got a friend of mine that was in this business, very top person in this industry, that just retired, actually July 1st of 2025. He just retired. One of their dreams was to literally spend 3 months just tooling around Europe. I just talked to him last night on the phone. They're outside London in some area, and he was talking about this and that, and they're doing this and that, and all the pubs, it's so cool, and the cafes. They're living that dream. That's what you need to do, and that needs to be the goal. We need to figure out, what is your dream? What is it that you want to do? And let's make sure that you don't underlive the retirement or overlive it. And that's how we do it, is making sure you've got enough income.
And it all starts with that Fact Finder meeting with Tim Wood and the team at Safe Money Retirement. If you'd like to learn more, you'd like to get on his calendar, keep this number handy, folks. 800-913-SAFE. Again, that's 800-913-7233. Or you can always reach Tim at the website, safemoneyretirement.com. Again, it's safemoneyretirement.com. Well, Tim, they say time flies when you have fun. I think we had a lot of fun on today's show. And before we run out of time here today, I'd love to leave the floor all yours once again for the final word.
Thanks, Kevin, and I hope everyone enjoyed the show today and learned a lot. There's a lot of things that we covered today, but I kind of want to go back to where we were just talking, because it's so vitally important. You need to spend your retirement money on you in retirement, and you need to sit down with someone that is an independent, certified financial fiduciary that can help you make a plan. Now, am I going to sit down and plan a cruise for you? No, that's on you. Y'all, you got to do that yourself, but I can make sure you got the money to do it. So what we need to do is we need to sit down. We need to make a plan that's specific to you and your situation. planning ahead for what's going to happen when you get to those slow go years. What's going to happen when we get to the point where one of us needs long-term care? What's going to happen when one of us passes? What happens to the income and the Social Security and, the pensions and all of this stuff? What's going to happen? Make a plan. Doesn't have to be me. It can be anybody, but sit down with someone that is a certified financial fiduciary that is completely independent. They can show you all of your options and make a plan so you can have your own safe money retirement.
The preceding information does not represent tax, legal, or investment advice. Obviously, by contacting us now, you are only taking the first step towards protecting your retirement. No information presented today should be acted upon without meeting with a qualified, licensed insurance professional. It is important that you read all insurance contract disclosures carefully before making a purchase decision. Interest and other guarantees in annuity contracts are subject to the claims-paying ability of the insurance carrier that issued the contract. The tax consequences of annuity income should be considered with the help of a licensed tax professional. Rates and returns mentioned on this program may vary based on state availability and are subject to change without notice.